Straight ahead on Law&Crime Daily. Court is back in session for Johnny Depp and Amber Heard.
I am talking about the difference between a punch, which Johnny did often, and me having to hit him in my defense.
Why Heard says she got physical with Depp, and Heard reveals why she filed for divorce.
I'm so scared that it was going to end really badly for me.
Plus,
I don't think that's funny, period. That's disgusting.
Heard addresses the infamous incident where feces was found in Depp's bed. And later,
this individual came here with the expressed purpose of taking as many black lives as he possibly could.
What led up to multiple mass shootings across the United States last weekend. Law&Crime Daily covering court cases from coast to coast. Welcome everyone to Law&Crime Daily. I'm your host, Brian Buckmeyer. Amber Heard spends the entire day on the witness stand answering questions about her relationship with Johnny Depp. There was one incident Depp considered was the last straw in the marriage, involving feces and his bed. Law&Crime's Anjanette Levy is here with Amber Heard's side of the story.
Johnny Depp had testified that he found out from one of his bodyguards that the housekeeper had found feces in his side of the bed. Who those feces belonged to and how they got into the bed, that's a major point of contention in this case. You may recall bodyguard Starling Jenkins testified that Amber Heard took responsibility for the feces in the bed. He said Heard described it as, quote, a practical joke gone bad or wrong. But on the stand, Heard said that Depp's dog, Boo, a 4-pound teacup Yorkie, was responsible for the defecation in the bed, and she explained why.
What, if any, issues did Boo have with bathroom problems, if you will?
She had eaten Johnny's weed when she was a puppy and had bowel control issues for her entire life, among some other issues. She was, we regularly had to take her to the vet to try to figure out, well, what was wrong with this dog? Never met a dog that was quite like this. So she had some control issues, hence why she liked to burrow in the bed. She liked to be in the, by the foot of the bed underneath the covers. And it was customary that they slept in bed with us, but Boo, having the issues she had, we have to leave her in bed so that she wouldn't be encouraged to go to the bathroom, which would happen almost immediately once you put her down on the floor. And sometimes it happened in bed too.
Why would that not be something you would do?
First of all, I don't think that's funny. I don't know what a grown woman does. I was not also in a pranking mood. My life was falling apart. I was at a crossroads in my life that was really serious, and I had just been attacked on my 30th birthday by my violent husband with whom I was desperately in love and knew I needed to leave. It was not really a jovial time, and I don't think that's funny. Period. That's disgusting.
Depp had testified that when he saw that photograph of the feces in the bed, that he actually laughed because it was so grotesque and ridiculous. He said it was at that point, and then after his mother passed away, that he decided to divorce Amber Heard. But Amber Heard said the decision to file for divorce was actually hers, so it's a major he said, she said. For Law&Crime Daily, I'm Anjanette Levy in Fairfax County, Virginia.
Thanks, Anjanette. Joining us today is co-host Terry Austin and entertainment lawyer Mitra Ahouraian. Mitra, Heard seemed a little more polished on the stand than she did when she testified days ago. Is that helping or hurting her case?
It's absolutely noticeable. She had over a week to get polished, as you said, to get more prepared, to be more ready with her answers and the way she presents her answers, to address the jury. If you notice, she specifically turns and addresses the jury anytime she's answering, and then goes back and addresses opposing counsel. And so she's much more prepared, and a lot more prepared to handle some of the tough questions that are coming at her.
Yeah, we'll see how those questions keep going, because you know what's coming next, cross-examination. Terry, so now we get to listen to Heard's side of the story. Let's call it Poopgate. Now, I don't have a teacup Yorkie, but I've got a Doberman, and there's a big difference between human feces and dog feces, especially a teacup Yorkie. What are your thoughts on this feces issue?
Well, there are definitely two sides of that story. Depp obviously is claiming that his security team called him and said, look, there's a picture here. And basically, she's admitted that she did this practical joke. But now she's claiming that her dog, Pooh, basically did accidentally poop on the bed. And so it is definitely a he said, she said. And I think the fact that she previously admitted it to one of his team, one of Depp's team, means basically that she did it. And so I think the jury is probably thinking she's making up excuses here, that it was the dog. And the main issue is the size of the disposable poop on the bed is probably something that is a really big signal here that it wasn't a small dog. So
yeah,
we'll see what the jury believes at the end of the day.
Yeah, if there's just one dog owner on that jury, I think they're going to know the difference between a teacup Yorkie and a human being, and that might come back to, for lack of a better term, bite her in the backside later on. Thank you both. Still ahead on Law and Crime Daily, Amber Heard's testimony continues in the defamation trial against ex-husband Johnny Depp. Ahead, we'll show you video Heard recorded of Depp and hear why she says she hit her then-husband. Welcome back to Law and Crime Daily. We're taking a closer look now at Amber Heard's direct examination. On Monday, jurors listened to an audio recording of a fight between Depp and Heard, in which Heard admits to getting physical with Depp. After the recording played, she told jurors she had to retaliate physically.
No, when you have a closed fist.
You did punch. You got hit. I'm sorry I hit you like this, but I did not punch you. I did not deck you. I was hitting you.
You can't
I don't know
deck
what
me.
the motion of my actual hand was, but you're fine. I did not hurt you. I did not punch you. I was hitting you.
How are your toes?
What am I supposed to do? Do this?
How are your toes?
I'm not sitting here about it, am I? You are.
Oh,
that's the difference
you
between
poor
me
toes.
and you. You're a baby.
Because you start
You
physical
are
fights?
such a baby.
Because you start physical fights?
I did start a physical fight.
Yeah, you did, so I had to get the out of there.
Yes, you did. So you did the right thing, the big thing. You know what? You are admirable. Every single time. What's your excuse when there's not a physical fight? Then what's the excuse then? You're still being admirable, right? Just by running away?
Amber, please explain to the jury what's transpiring in that audio recording, what that's about.
Well, there's two different situations that we're referencing in this fight. Two different altercations between Johnny and I involving the door. The first of which we first start talking about, where I'm talking about hitting him, I am talking about what that conversation is about the disparity. The disparity between Johnny and I in our physical fights, the disparity of how he would proactively punch me and I would have to resort to reactively hitting him. I am talking about the difference between a punch, which Johnny did often, and me having to hit him in my defense. I know the difference between those two, and I'm highlighting the difference between those two, even if he wasn't twice my size. They're very different, and that's what I'm pointing out to him.
Later, jurors were shown a video recording taken by Heard in which Depp can be seen slamming cupboards in the pair's kitchen.
What happened? Nothing happened this morning, you know that?
Were you in here?
No.
So then nothing happened to you this morning?
Yeah, you're right. I just woke up and you were so sweet and nice. We were not even fighting this morning. All I did was say sorry.
Did something happen to you this morning? I don't think so.
No, that's the thing.
You want to see crazy? I'll give you crazy. That's crazy. Oh, you're crazy. You're crazy.
Have you drunk this whole thing this morning?
Oh, you got this going? You got this going?
I just started it.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Really?
Terry, from Heard's testimony, it was unclear when the domestic violence, or alleged domestic violence, began and how many times it occurred. Do you think she clarified that to the jury?
Well, it's very interesting. She talks about the fact that there's domestic violence happening all of the time. He's either hitting her or punching her or choking her or pulling her hair out. But the very first question that they asked this morning on the direct, to finish up the direct, was to clarify one of the discrepancies. And that discrepancy was, when was the first act of physical violence? It makes me wonder whether or not they had some conversations, but I have to trust that she did not have a conversation with her lawyer because she's been instructed not to do that. But she clarified that that first act with Winona Ryder, the tattoos, that was the big act. She originally said that it was in 2013, and then she clarified it was in 2012. And then she went back and tried to clarify some of the dates, and she tried to explain why in the UK there were 17 incidents, and with the TRO there was only a few. But listen, the jury is basically trying to figure out how many times there was domestic violence and what is really truthful.
Yeah. Now, Mitra, we saw there Heard's attorneys walking her through this audio where she admits to hitting Depp, but it's weird. It's like she has a different definition for punch and hit, depending on size or maybe gender, and then try to say it's self-defense. Did that make sense to you?
I don't think that there's a way to make that recording sound good, whether it's a punch or a hit or whatever the case was. Within the context that we are hearing it, without the context she's giving us, it sounds like she's the aggressor, and there's really no way around that when you're listening to it. So her attempt to sort of explain away why this was happening and why it was important that it was a hit instead of a punch, I think is going to fall on deaf ears.
Yeah, especially from the audio, like you're saying, comparing the two. We'll see how it continues in the case, though. Coming up on Law and Crime Daily, our coverage of the Johnny Depp Amber Heard defamation trial continues. We take a closer look at Amber Heard's testimony, why she says she filed for divorce from Depp. Welcome back. Testimony delved deeper into the final days in the relationship of Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. On Monday, Heard told jurors why she filed for divorce in 2016.
I knew if I didn't, I'd likely not literally survive. I'm so scared that it was going to end really badly for me. And I really didn't want to leave him. I loved him so much. I wouldn't have done anything, but I couldn't do that one thing. I couldn't stay. The promise and the hope that I had become less and less regular and more rare. The monster had been this thing that was now the normal and not the exception. The violence was now normal and not the exception. And it was so hard. It was so hard, but I knew I had to do it. I believe he would have taken it too far. I wouldn't be here.
Terry, there have been multiple objections in this case on both sides. One side seems to be doing better than the other, though. Can you walk us through the basics, though?
Listen, when you do a trial, there are certain objections that you're going to hear all the time, and we've heard it here, whether or not the question is leading, whether or not it's based on speculation. That's not going to be something that's going to be introduced. Whether or not it lacks a foundation, so the person has to have personal knowledge to get that in, and that has to be established. You've heard the objection of non-responsive, because people go on and they're not responding. Hearsay is also the biggest one here. It's an out-of-court statement asserted to prove the truth of the matter. So you've heard that objection, But we've also heard, listen, Judge, it's not for the truth of the matter. And there are 23 exceptions under the federal rules. And so some of these objections are, that it's not offered for the truth of the matter, or it's an excited utterance. So there are a lot of reasons to object, and you have to balance whether or not you have a right to object or whether or not it looks like you're trying to hide something, a difficult balance.
Yeah, 8 years as a public defender, maybe almost 4,000 cases. First time I've ever seen someone object to their own question. That's a new one for me. Now, Mitra, how does her explanation of why she filed for divorce fit with this claim of defamation?
Well, if that's the reason, if all this that she said that happened really happened, then consistent with that, it would make sense that she would file for divorce and want to leave him. The problem is that we also have Johnny saying that he was the one that wanted to divorce Amber. So there's, again, more he said, she said.
Yeah, it's going to come down to who do they believe. I think it's going to come down a lot based on the cross-examination, because I think that's where the truth really comes, of Amber Heard and Johnny Depp, and we'll leave it up to the jury for that. But to keep up with the gavel-to-gavel coverage of the Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard trial, make sure to follow our newest podcast, Law&Crime Sidebar. Listen in as some of Law&Crime's top hosts recap the highs and lows of the trial so far, straight from the Fairfax County Courthouse in Virginia. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts or online at lawandcrime.com. When we come back, a weekend of gun violence across the country. The details of several mass shootings that left multiple people killed and more than a dozen injured. Welcome back. More than a dozen people are dead and many others wounded following several mass shootings across the country over the weekend. In Milwaukee, 17 people were left injured after a shooting Friday night blocks from the arena where an NBA playoff game happened hours earlier. There were no fatalities and all the victims are expected to survive. In total, 10 people were arrested in connection to the shooting. And in California, 1 person is dead, 5 others injured, and a man is in jail following another shooting at a church Sunday. Police say they have not determined any motive, but the attack was on a group of Asian churchgoers. Members of the congregation stopped the suspect themselves by hogtying him with electrical cords. Also on Sunday, 2 people were killed and 3 others were hurt in a shooting in Houston, Texas, at a flea market. Sheriff's deputies say a group of men got into an argument when they pulled their guns on each other and started shooting. And authorities in Buffalo, New York are trying to piece together what led up to a mass shooting which left 10 people dead and several others injured at a Tops grocery store Saturday. Officials arrested 18-year-old Peyton Grayton after they say he carried out a racist attack, as the incident is being investigated as a hate crime. State and local authorities held a press conference Sunday to thank those who quickly responded.
I want to thank law enforcement at every level, federal, state, Buffalo Police, Erie County Sheriff's Department, for their tremendous response. The Buffalo Police responded in less than 2 minutes after this incident began. And I want to say a special word of thanks to the Buffalo police officers, because if not for their swift response and courageous actions, more lives probably would have been lost yesterday. That is important to note. This individual came here with the expressed purpose of taking as many black lives as he possibly could.
Another shooting in North Carolina left 7 people wounded. Officials say there were shootings at 3 separate locations and that they were all related. No one's injuries are life-threatening. Mitra, other than the obvious, are there things that connect these shootings that may have helped prevent or even reduce the loss of life and injuries in these tragic shootings?
Well, surely anytime I hear of a mass shooting, I think of mental illness, because it really does take somebody who has mental issues to be able to carry out a crime of this nature, to kill multiple people as if they're not even human beings. And I think that, when I think of that, I wonder, okay, where were the signs? Did no one observe anything that indicated that these people would do something like this? And in Buffalo, the shooter there were signs. He was hospitalized, but then he was released. And so that just makes me wonder, where is our system failing in terms of identifying the people that will inflict these kinds of crimes on society?
Thanks. Absolutely. Not only with the mental health, but also when we identify these people, how are they getting guns in their hands? Terry, hate crime charges are likely to be dropped on the shooter in Buffalo. Should we expect federal and state charges in this case?
Oh, I'm expecting both state and federal charges in this case. The state's definitely going to bring some murder charges as far as this is concerned, just because it was such a heinous crime. And the Justice Department already announced today that they are investigating this matter as a hate crime, meaning that it was a racially motivated crime. And they said they're going to do a thorough investigation, and they have the resources to do exactly that. And based on the reports that we've heard so far, Brian, it does seem as though there will be plenty of evidence. They've already stated that there is online social media evidence that this could very well be a hate crime. So I expect we'll see charges later down the line.
Absolutely. My thoughts go out to the families affected, and I'm looking for some solutions from our representatives. Thank you for those joining us here on Law and Crime Daily. We'll see you next time as we discuss justice in America.